Hello, and welcome on into another episode of the Whiskey Crusaders, again featuring social distancing. I'm Will.
I'm Sarah.
Not Matt.
Today we're going to be talking about Raasay, a new Scotch, a new Scottish distillery that's just opening up.
Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and click on that notification bell. Matt, what do we got going on in our glass here?
And be sure not to push the public thing when you're not supposed to. All right, this is Raasay While We Wait. This is a gift. This is a whiskey we borrowed from Pete. Appreciate it. He got this over in the UK. All right, so Raasay is the first legal distillery in the Isle of Raasay in the northwest of Scotland, which would make it the very first Scotch single malt ever made in the island history. That's legal. If the water comes from a well deep below the distillery, it proclaims to have the most beautiful view of all distilleries in Scotland, which I'll agree, there's a picture on the internet. It's pretty freaking amazing. It takes you out of the distillery and you go out in the front, and it's got a picture of the lake of, I'm not sure what water body it is there, but it's between that and the Isle of Skye and this mountain. It's gorgeous. And I could see why they would say that. It's quite pretty. Anyway, so the only way to reach Raasay is to go from the Isle of Skye, which another fun place to take a long train ride or a plane or a ferry or whatever. But yeah, so you take a ferry over from the Isle of Skye over to the Isle of Raasay, which is pretty cool. So now I've noticed this is pronounced right. This is Tobur na ba Benin. Who the hell knows? Some Gaelic word. Anyway, is the Well of the Pale Cow. I mean, what a great name for a well. It's pretty entertaining. But anyway, the water that feeds it comes from the highest peak on Raasay, which is the Duncan, which is a volcanic rock. The last illegal distilling took place in the 1850s. So it's been a long time since there's been whiskey on this island.
Wow.
Well, that they know about. The last
they know, you're right. That they know about.
Distilling. Let's be clear.
But yeah, they said the last thing they find that's illegal that they can prove is an old still from the 1850s. The last thing they can prove. Let's put it that way.
That's awesome.
So like I said, this is a While We Wait, because this is from one distillery, and they took some peated and unpeated and put it together, and it's what their whiskey is going to taste like, theoretically. So when it comes out. So in 2018, they used a 2017 crop of barley that's from Raasay, which is a first generation of Raasay peat and 100% Raasay meat that will be ready in 2021. But their initial part will be ready this year in 2020, which will deliver to the state of Texas amazingly somehow. I don't know how, but it's really cool. So it's founded by Bill Doby and Alistair Day. They have a wash still of 5,000 liters and a spirit still of 3,600. And all of it's aged on Raasay in their warehouses. It's also home of the most northern Scottish colony of long-eared European brown bats. So every year they have Bat Day, which is pretty cool. And, this will be the third year for Bat Day, which is cool, on August 1st. They have bat-themed parties, which I think is kind of cool and interesting for a distillery. It's rather random, but it's kind of cool.
I like that. That's neat.
So it's a cool product. So this thing itself, like I said, is from one distillery. They borrowed some whiskey from to say what it'd be like. It's 46%. It's lightly peated, finished in Tuscan red wine casks. It was created combining those two. It is a French Oak Tuscan wine cask from 3 different vineyards. Produce Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc. And it's non-chill filtered and not colored. And it's 45 pounds. So pretty cool. Like I said, unfortunately, since it's the UK version, it's 70 CL, which means you get screwed out of 50 milliliters.
Yeah.
Sorry, it sucks to be you guys.
So let's do it. Lightly peated. I'm getting very lightly peated, if any peat at all.
Yeah, it's there, but it's real light.
Yeah, I get very light as well. I get a lot of butterscotch and caramel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I got some of that wine berry finish too.
Yeah, me too. It's the strawberries. It's the almost rhubarb.
Yeah.
A little bit for grape, but mostly it's just plum.
I was gonna say plum.
So yeah, it's got, like you said, a little bit of peat. You can get that wine, the cab, definitely picking that up. Sweet, malty, and floral. It's like a clean meadow. It's a little salty with some baking spices, a little earthy, some dry wood, and some pears, some melons.
The peat's coming out more and more as it sits in the glass.
Yeah, briny peaches.
Ooh,
I think that you said both of those things, but
yeah,
when I put them, it's just like that's what popped out of the glass to me, is like just a salty, briny peach.
Definitely,
along with that butterscotch and oak,
which makes sense being on an island that on the isle there, it's surrounded by water. You're gonna get a lot of salt.
Yep.
It smells wonderful. I'm interested to see, obviously, what the real one tastes like since it's borrowed from the distillery, what they did to do it. The color's nice. I mean, I don't know how old it is, obviously, since they borrowed it from someone, but I like it. It smells really nice. So let's see how it tastes.
You were saying lightly peated. How does this compare to Highland Park?
The Highland Park peat is right there in the front. This you have to kind of dig for it. Same with the taste. It's not Isla peat.
It's Raasay peat.
Yeah, it doesn't taste anything like Isla peat or the heather of
of the Orkney peats of the Highland Parks.
The Highland Park peats. This is a completely different. It's completely different than anything I've ever tasted.
Yeah,
which is interesting, and I'm interested to see how it tastes when theirs comes out. Like I said, a couple years from now. That I noticed trees from the picture, so it could definitely be forest peat, which is going to be different. So it'd be very interesting to see how this looks.
It has the peat staple on it for me, that smoky brininess that is like the underlie of most peats in general. But it's not a kick you in the teeth kind of peat either. It's not the medicinal. It's there. It's less than Highland Park, for me at least. And it's not as offensive. It's not horrible. It's still not.
Just not your cup of whiskey.
It's still just not my cup of whiskey as far as that smoky brininess goes. No. If it was just the brine and none of that peat smoke, cool with that.
Yeah. Like old Pulteney.
But it's different. It's completely different kind of peat than anything I've ever tried.
It's tasty. So yeah, it's got sweet, malty, red berries. Got a little wisp of smoke. It's got this like oil sheen on it. It's a little earthy, a little like a slick seaweed kind of to it. Some like orange zest that's been dipped in like an old fashioned with some like overripe pears.
It's almost like you take some leather and you just hold a lighter to it for a few minutes. It's like smoked leather, kind of.
And to me, the peat hits just very, very lightly, and it just gives this reach, this deep, rich, dark, dominant note that just kind of lingers really towards the mid palate and then towards the finish.
It's
the
very
finish
lingering.
Comes alive, or the peat comes alive in the finish to me.
Definitely.
Very lingering to me, as opposed to like the Highland Park, where at least that what is it, 14 that we reviewed?
Yeah, 14, yeah.
It didn't linger. Yeah. It hit mid palate, said hi, and was gone. This lingers.
The peat comes alive on the nose with a drop of water. It really pops dramatically. What's the proof on this guy, Matt?
46. Also 92 proof.
Okay, so are we talking unchill filtered? Do we know?
Yeah, unchill filtered, no coloring.
Yeah.
And so the coloring is obviously coming from those Tuscan wine casks. I mean, based on how that reddish hint you got to it there. But yeah, I think the wine casks add a really nice flavor to it. That's quite tasty.
Yeah, I mean the berries that come through and that caramel and butterscotch that comes through is all good. It's just that I don't want to say it again because I say it every time. It's just not for me.
Yeah. To me, all the fruit notes got dialed up on the palate, and the peat note again just kind of doesn't hit until the very, very end, and it sustains throughout the finish. I feel like the actual fruits came alive a little bit more on this, so I actually like the nose better with the drop of water, and I like the palate a little bit better with the drop of water as well.
Here you go. Excellent.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
I like it.
I like it. Well, Pete, thanks for picking that up.
I'm interested to see what actually comes out of the distillery itself once they start throwing stuff out.
Absolutely.
Pulling the barrels out and whatnot.
I'd love to try their stuff that's coming out this year and next year. It sounds like it's going to be, if it's like this, it's going to be really good. It should be really interesting and unique. It doesn't taste like other scotches. It's really unique. No, I really like it.
They definitely have their own unique peat flavor.
Yeah.
So if that's a local peat, that's definitely a unique flavor to it.
Yeah, they definitely have some things going for them there.
I love new distilleries.
Yeah.
Well, and their water source is going to be completely different with that volcanic rock.
Sure.
We're going to be having a very, very unique water source out of that. So, yeah, I'm excited. This should be fun. I always like trying new distilleries in Scotland.
Definitely. Especially, I mean, there's so few new ones that we in our lifetimes we've got a chance to try. This is really one of the very few new ones we'll ever get to try. I think it's really cool. So awesome.
Yeah.
Well, once again, Pete, thanks for picking this up, letting us borrow this. We really appreciate it. And this is delicious whiskey. And Raasay, keep on doing great work. This is awesome stuff.
Thanks, Pete. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and hit that little notification bell so that you can tell when we're on next. Until next time,
keep on crusading for better whiskey in your glass.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good.
I like it.
Not for Sarah, though.